StrayAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of wait for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, as usual, this is a new tradition, not a new tradition, but a consistent tradition. I mean, to be a tradition, it has to be consistent, right? That we have over here at the Work on Your Game Masterclass, which is on the first of every year. I put out an episode that is going to frame for you your focus for this year that is now upon us, and most of it, a good percentage of it, is in front of us. And that's your focus for 2024. Your focus for 2024 is what we call strategic elimination. But before we get into that, let me remind everybody, or inform you if you didn't know, I send out a text message every day that is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. Call it the Daily Motivation. You can get that message by texting me. Join my text community. I also send out a weekly one every Monday. Join my text community completely for free by going to or text me at 305-384-6894. That number is down below in the description. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. This is the place where I coach people who are top 2% performers, or those of you who plan on being that at some point in the near future. If that sounds like you, and I don't even have to give too much of a description of that. If you are a top 2% performer, you know it. And if you're not, you also know it. And if you plan on being one, you know it. And if you don't, you also know it. So if that sounds like you, if it even sounds like you, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, and that's where you can find out how you can work with me directly. I do not work with everybody directly. That's why I said the top 2%. So 98 out of 100 people I do not work with. I'm looking for the people who are serious about going somewhere, people who have already shown themselves in the world that they are going somewhere because they've gone places already, and you got more places to go. You're not done. If that's you. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That out the way. Let's get into this topic. Again, your focus for 2024, and my what I've decided here. Focus for 2024 is strategic elimination. And by the way, those of you who have been listening to this show over the years, let me tell you what we did. I think we started doing this in 2021. So let me see. Yes, so 2021, I didn't put the actual title of the topic in the description. That was episode 1693. So if you want to listen to that, that's where you can find it. In episode 2062, that was your focus for 2022. Didn't put it in there either, but this one, starting now, I'm going to actually put the title of I'm going to put the name of the focus in the title of the episodes. I don't even have those in front of me, but I know what they were. One of them was multiplication by investment. The other one was building relationships, and that's in backwards order. So multiplication by investment was 2022. I'm going to update because I keep a list of everything that we put out here on the show. So any of you who was not around when those episodes came out, as I just told you, you know what they are about now. So 2021 was about relationships, and 2022 was multiplication by investment. So again, you can find those at www.dreallday.com/blog/ put the number of the episode. So this year is strategic elimination. Now, I've been doing this at the beginning of the year, as I told you, since 2021. So this will be number 3. And this year we shall continue the tradition. I actually did one at the end of 2020 as well, but it wasn't framed as this is for the year. I don't even know what number that was. I didn't put it in here like this, but I know after episode 1000, I talked about how to do anything 1,000 days in a row. So while I was thinking about it, I'll give you that one too. So this tradition is going to go every year. No need to give too much background to this concept, as the points are going to say everything that needs to be said here. So what I will say to you is Happy New Year. Since this is a new year, I'm recording this before New Year has happened, but today is January 1st. That's when this episode is going to come out. So Happy New Year to you. And we are using the new year as a good jumping off point because it's a convenient excuse for any of us to turn the page and start making some changes in our lives that we have been putting off or otherwise avoiding. Although you could implement these changes at any time. It doesn't have to be the first of the year, the first of the month, or your birthday when you make these changes. You can do it anytime you want. I would suggest you implement these changes as soon as possible, all right, rather than doing them later. All right, so let's get into this. Point number 1, Topic, once again, is your focus for this year, which is strategic elimination. Number one, keyword here is strategic. That's the keyword. How do you define strategic? It means relating to the identification of long-term or overall aims and interests and the means of achieving them. That is what it means to be strategic. Identification of long-term or overall aims and interests and the means of achieving them. Strategy is one of the 4 parts of the 4-part framework in Work on Your Game University. Mindset, systems, and accountability being the other 3. In other words, you need to know what your long-term outcome is. What do you want to achieve long-term, and how exactly is it going to get done? All right, that's strategy. Your elimination of things in life need to be based on a big picture strategy, which is guided by principles. Not just eliminating things because your emotions tell you to, or because they're inconvenient for you, or because they're not so easy for you at the moment. That's the wrong reason to eliminate something. Sometimes the things that are most difficult for you are the things that you should do more of and keep, not eliminate, simply because getting those things, cracking that nut, solving that puzzle might be the key to you moving forward. So don't eliminate something just because it's not going so smoothly for you right now. It's not a good enough reason. See, those things may not necessarily, again, be a wise reason. Sometimes the things that you do that you're actually pretty good at and things are working, you're able to execute on them pretty easily. Those might be the very things that you need to get rid of, simply because doing those things have gotten you to a point where you have stagnated and you're not really moving forward anymore. So strategic elimination doesn't mean either one of those things, because again, those are just possibilities. Strategic elimination means you have an overall view of who you are, what you want to do, where you want to go, so that you can eliminate things that don't fit that big picture. It's basically about you deductively reasoning what stays and what goes, but it needs to be based on some type of framework of thinking, not just doing stuff just because it's how you feel in the moment. And this is the reason why in Work on Your Game University is one of the 4 major components of what we do. Point number 2, today's topic, once again, is your focus for this year, strategic elimination. Number 2, most important aspect of strategic elimination is that in this process, you'll be eliminating things that are comfortable, convenient, easy, and even profitable for you. Let me repeat that sentence. I think some of you might not think that you heard what you just heard. So let me say it again. The most important aspect of strategic elimination is that in this process, you will be eliminating things that are, not are not, but are comfortable, convenient, easy, and profitable for you. Yes, there are things that are actually producing results for you, you're going to eliminate. There are things that are comfortable, easy, and convenient for you that you will eliminate. The reason you're eliminating them is because they don't fit into the big picture of where you plan on going, regardless of where you currently reside. Let me repeat that sentence too. You're eliminating these things, rather, because they don't fit into the big picture of where you plan on going, which has very little to do with where you currently reside. Because I would guess, and somebody who's listening, tell me if I'm wrong, most of you listening to this show, you plan on going somewhere that is very different from where you currently reside. Would you agree with that? Okay, so since you agree with that, that means some of the things that are in your current space can't come with you in the space that you're going. That's just how it is. Like if you move from one home to another, you downsize your home. I'm not saying your life's going to downsize. I'm just using this as an example, not the perfect parallel, but a good example. If you downsize your home from a 5-bedroom to a 2-bedroom, everything that fit in the 5-bedroom house can't fit in the 2-bedroom house. All right, some things got to get thrown away in the process. Or if you just move from a 5-bedroom to a different 5-bedroom, in the process of moving and packing everything up, you may look at some stuff and say, why am I still holding on to this? Let me just throw this in the trash or donate it or sell it at a garage sale or just leave it here and let the next resident worry about it. And just throw it away just because you're letting stuff go. This is sometimes how it happens in life. Now, sometimes people do the opposite and they just hold on to everything. They become hoarders, but we talked about that a few episodes back. You got to let things go. Eliminate anything that is not fitting into the picture of where you plan on being. Not where you are, but where you plan on being. In other words, you're making decisions based on your future self, not based on the maintenance of your current self. This is an important one because a lot of people focus so much on what can I do to maintain where I'm at, but in the next sentence they'll tell you where they want to go, which is different from where they are. So you got to catch yourself in this bad habit. Any of you who has this habit, and a lot of people have this habit because I talk to a lot of people every day. Episode 1365. I told you what your future self would say to your current self. I would suggest many of you listen to that episode. It ties in perfectly with what we're talking about here in this point number 2. Now, all of this sounds very simple when talking about it, but it's much harder to do in practice because, again, you're getting rid of things that you're comfortable with, that are easy for you, and things that are actually working for you. Because this requires you letting go of a lot of your current self and stepping into an unknown future self you have not yet realized. In other words, you're letting go of a known entity that you may even appreciate in order to reach for an unknown entity that you may not even reach. You may not even get it. I said you're reaching for it. I didn't say you want to grab it. You're reaching for it. And any of you wants to know why so many people, maybe even yourself, knows that you want something different than what you have now, yet you keep executing self-sabotaging behavior that keeps you from even trying to get to it? This is the reason right here. Because to reach for the thing that you want to get to, first of all, there's no guarantee you're going to grab it. Secondly, you got to let go of the thing you currently have, which means for a while you're going to be living in that no man's land that I call the void, which I just talked about not too long ago, episode 2733, about probably about a month or so ago, a little over a month ago. Was that episode? Actually, a few months ago by the time you all hear this. That's called The Void. Again, episode 2733 for those of you who haven't heard that episode. So you're going to be in that empty space for a while, maybe for a long while, maybe a short while, but there will be some empty space. And there's no guarantee. You can't wait for the guarantee that the future is going to happen before you let go of the present. That's the challenge with the void. And the reason why many people never step into the void and they instead just hold on to what they have. And it's the reason why many people never reach the goals that they have. You may get marginally and small percentage points better than where you are right now. But if you want to get way better, 10 times, 100 times better than where you are right now, you got to let go of the current self in order to try to get to the future self. But we talked about this in episode number 2769, where I talked about hard work still matters about 3 weeks ago. When I went on a long tangent there about Kobe Bryant. Listen to that episode where I explain how being willing to reach for that one thing, again, does not guarantee you're going to get it, but is the only way that you can get to the 10x, 100x results that many of you say you want to get to. But many people don't want to take the actions required to get there. As the saying goes, everyone is a beast until it's time to do what a beast does. Beasts can't just walk one step at a time. They jump entire flights. You get what I'm saying? See, if this was easy to do, then everybody would always be growing, advancing, shedding their old skin, so to speak, and stepping into new versions of themselves. All of us would always just be advancing and at really big steps, really big leaps all the time. Every time you saw somebody, they would just be a whole lot better than they were last time. And everybody would be moving at the pace. If it was easy to do, everybody would be doing it. But if you look around at life, you notice that almost no one does this. Almost no one does this. For some of you, again, if you look around at life, you'll notice this is a tongue-in-cheek little joke that I make often here on the show, that any of you who's over the age of 30, you haven't seen any of your high school classmates in a while, don't worry, because they're the same people that they were the last time you saw them, even if the last time you saw them was high school graduation. They just got older, fatter, and uglier. There's nothing else changed about them. They're the same person. Most people do not change. Most people do not get better. The only change is people end up going backwards, but people don't change in going forwards. They get older, fatter, and uglier. That's the only thing. That's the only real change most people undergo, because those changes kind of happen naturally. All right, the changes that happen intentionally, very few people do those. All right, you find one of those people, you should watch them closely, because they are few and far between. For some of you, look in the mirror. All right, you might be the person I'm talking about. When I say not changing, I'm not talking about they do change. I'll say not changing. Many people become a certain type of individual at young adulthood, never change other than getting, again, those 3 things that I just told you: older, fatter, uglier. Because it's very uncomfortable to undergo this type of intentional change that I'm speaking of. So while it's easy to listen to and talk about, it's much more difficult than it looks and sounds. It's hard to eliminate parts of yourself that you have grown accustomed to having in your life, especially if they're things that you actually appreciate, enjoy, and you are experiencing the benefits of. Doesn't necessarily mean a specific tactic, folks. It doesn't necessarily mean a specific person. It's related to the mindsets that lead to the tactics that bring the people into your world and the habits that you have allowed to grow in your life. The mindset is the most important part, because when you change your mind about something, it's easy to change the habits. Challenge is most people aren't willing to change their minds about anything. This is why their habits don't change. This is why their actions don't change. This is why their results don't change. In that order, which all of you know as the be, do, and have process. And even people like myself, I'll even say contribute to this. People staying in the same spaces. People listen to something like what I'm talking about right here, and you're nodding your head along and agreeing with it. And people send me text messages and emails and tell me how they resonated so much with the messages and the things that I'm saying. Yet they are not implementing any of the things that they or you have heard. See, it's two different. It's two different things to listen to something and appreciate it and value it and screenshot it and save it and post it up on your vision board and all of that stuff. A whole different thing to actually implement it because it's going to be uncomfortable for you. This will be uncomfortable. I'm not telling you it might be uncomfortable. I'm telling you that it will be uncomfortable. And this is the reason why we did episode number 2740, confidence versus courage, which goes hand in hand with what we talked about in episode 2733. I should have put those episodes back to back because to deal with the void, the main thing you need is courage. Most people go through their lives looking for confidence, and some of you even pull on it. The problem with pulling on confidence is based on your past. It's based on you doing more of what you've already done. And again, most of you, given your goals, you can't keep doing the stuff you've already done in order to get to those goals. You got to do some completely different things, and those are going to not require confidence. They're going to require courage. Why? Because you don't have the confidence to draw on to do something you've never done before. You need courage to draw on. And most people, again, never do this. Look around at life. Don't take my word for it. Look around. Look at yourself. Tell me I'm wrong. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is your focus for this year, 2024, is strategic elimination. Number 3. Biggest key to an advancement in your life, assuming that you have done a steady, significant amount of hard work, assuming that you've done the hard work. Biggest key to advancement in your life, assuming you worked, studied, and you have some accomplishments under your belt, is through elimination. Those of you who have done the hard work, if you haven't done the hard work, go do it. Those of you who have done the study, meaning you know what the hell you're doing, you have put the time in to actually learn about the space that you're in. Those of you who have not done that, go do it. Amazon books are $25 a piece, roughly. There's audio books out there for probably even less than that. And worst case scenario, you can go to the library and read books all day for free. As a matter of fact, you go to a bookstore and just sit in the bookstore and just read all the books you want for free. So any of you haven't done the study, do that. And assuming you have some accomplishment under your belt, you've achieved some things in your career. You have some achievements. You don't have to be anything crazy, but you got some achievements under your belt. You got some years. You got a resume. Okay. The most important part of your forward movement is through elimination. What are you willing to drop? Most important thing you need to do to get to your next level is not add on and do more, but eliminate and delete. And this is the challenge. See, the reason why this is a challenge is because most people think completely different from this. Most of us grow up our entire lives. Some of you are 40-something years old listening to this right now. Your entire life, you have always had the belief that in order for you to get better and advance and move forward, you had to do more, work harder, put in more time, put more years in, build up your resume, just keep adding to the list, right? That's what most people do, and it's what almost all of us do. In Western society, this is ingrained in us. I'm not even putting this on you personally. This is something that we all do. Anytime we're trying to move forward, we figure out, all right, how can I work harder? How can I get better? How can I be faster? How can I be stronger? How can I build up a stronger resume? That's what we all do, right? But in order for you to really move forward the way you want to, one of the most important things you got to do is drop some stuff. And see, this is a brand new idea to a lot of people, and it's very hard to get a person over the age of, you could even say the age of 25. I'll go a little bit higher. Let's say over the age of 30. Very hard to get a person over the age of 30 to accept a brand new idea, let alone let them implement a brand new idea. Now, I might get you to nod your head and agree with me while I'm talking to you, but will you actually accept it emotionally and will you implement it through your actions? In my experience, for the most part, people don't do this. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you won't. But in my experience, most people don't do this. That's not said to discourage you from doing it. It should encourage you to do it, because anytime you hear me point out something that most people don't do, you should be encouraged because the opportunity is in doing it. And anytime I point out something that most people are doing, then you should be encouraged because the opportunity is in not doing it. All you got to do is read between the lines. You ain't got to read between the lines today. I just told you. I read between the lines for you. It is much easier for most of us, again, especially those of you who have a level of accomplishment, to just keep adding on, working harder, come to work earlier, stay at work later, put more on your plate than it would be for you to delete, remove, eliminate, and cease certain actions. Most of you, by default, you just add on. You're just an adding on individual. Again, this is ingrained in the mindsets of high achievers, especially in the United States. This is just a normal way of thinking. Most high achievers respond to increased demands by giving more effort, more time, and basically taking more of their resources and putting it towards the demand that has been placed in front of them. I am challenging you this year to think about how you can do the opposite. And as a matter of fact, you only have to figure it out on your own. This is the reason why Work on Your Game University exists. It's the reason why people like myself exist, to help people work through this, because I know I'm giving you a brand new concept that many of you have never even considered, let alone have you done. Let me recap today's class, which is your focus for 2024, which is strategic elimination. Point number one, the key word here is strategic, which is defined as relating to the identification of long-term or overall aims and interests and the means of achieving them. Elimination of things need to be based on a big picture strategy, not just doing stuff just because you feel like eliminating something. It might be the thing you need to keep. Number two, the most important aspect of strategic elimination is that within this process, you are eliminating things that are comfortable, convenient, easy, and even profitable for you. Not just eliminating the stuff you don't like. You got to eliminate some stuff that you do like. Now, again, go back to my first point. You got to be strategic about this. This is why you shouldn't just go and randomly just do stuff. The challenge with most of us is that most people do not move forward, period, in life. Most people pretty much stay the same because they don't want to undergo the discomfort that comes with change. All right? The type of change that you need to make if you're serious about doing a lot bigger than what you're doing right now is that some things need to go. You are not just going to hard work and effort your way to that next level. And if you do, you might kill yourself in the process. So you will need a different strategy than that. Number three, biggest key to advancement in your life, assuming that you already have a certain level of achievement and accomplishment, is through elimination. Some things have to go in order for you to move forward. You got to basically put a lighter load on your shoulders so you can go a little bit further and faster, keeping in mind that we're all on the clock all the time. Most high achievers' default response to increased demand is just put increased resources, time, money, attention, energy, and focus on everything. Challenge is eventually you're burning the candle at both ends. Eventually, something's got to give, and what's going to give is going to be you or your success, one or the other. If you would like to avert that outcome, I would suggest you go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, work with me directly, because your type of challenges are the type of challenges that I relish helping people with. And also make sure everybody who's listening to this, whether that's you or not, text me at my number 305-384-6894 so you get the daily motivation, Monday motivation every week. And that's that. Number and link down below in the description. Have a great 2024. Hopefully you're implementing some of the stuff that you're hearing here, not just listening to it. Work on your game. Dre, all